Well, welcome back to Bitcoin Advisors channel. My name is Chris, and I'm going to bring you this lovely cryptocurrency video from Westlake Village. And let's jump right into the charts and talk about where we think Bitcoin is going to go after hitting the measure move off this falling channel here, right? Boom, 13%, not bad. So let's get a naked chart and really prepare ourselves for what could be happening in the short term and more importantly in the long term as we head into the end of this year. Want to remind you guys that you can get 10% cash back trading bonus if you use the referral link in the description below. 10%, not bad. I hope you guys enjoy that while it's there. But just really quickly, I mean, obviously you can see this looks like a short-term top as we're getting a bit of a rounding here. We've got the red dot on market cipher. You've got the money flow, starting to head down and out, kind of getting below the critical level there. And short-term correction, what does that look like in the past 90 days? I think like 4 or 5%, actually less, more like 3%. From top to bottom. Let's see these last little baby corrections. Okay, that was 9%. And those were, I think, to the tune of 15%. Do I think we get more? Gosh, that was 8. Yeah, 13% there and call it 13% there. Let's see where volatility is having a chance to reset. And the stochastic is also having a chance to reset. So we are kind of in the middle of no man's land right now. And what I like to do in these times is really look for, high points of confluence where the next, potential major trade setup could come from. And this area right around the 618 to the 786 is always going to be very nice. That is the golden pocket. And also want to remind ourselves in a bullish market, you are going to get continuation off the 236 or the 382 Fibonacci. This is the fair value gap, right here, this major green candle. So if, we already front ran the 382 on that pass, sorry, the 236, I do believe we will get a bounce at the minimum off the 382. And I believe, I think more likely than not, we're going to head higher. Also want to bring in the good old VWAP. So you've got another level there at 102,000. If things get carried away to the downside, maybe some kind of bad economic news. We're coming to the end of July. And August is, notoriously that vacation time for the stockbrokers. Checking in on the stock market. We're still looking pretty bullish here day after day. New all-time highs for the NASDAQ and the S&P looking good. The Dow, kind of struggling, looks like a bull flag to me, and probably some new all-time highs. Dixie still coming down in the golden pocket. Definitely could go a bit lower. Looking at this consolidation range, yeah, we could head all the way down to the 786 there. So, just reminding ourselves where we're at in this market. This is probably the last leg of the bull market here. And it's, a good time to also, start making some exit plans, I think, or preparing yourself for an exit plan. But I'm thinking about doing a video, a $50,000 portfolio where, if you were late to the market, where could you get started today? And how could you get started? I think we'll be going over that this week. So I just want to kind of reiterate my stance right now that patience is going to be the name of the game. And that I think we'd be lucky to get a pass down here at 107 in this zone, 108 to 107. And a trade setup that I probably would be willing to take. And again, not financial advice, not a financial advisor here. I think really altcoins are starting to steal the show here, especially Ethereum. But a long trade setup, something like this, that is not the one I wanted. Something like this. Stop loss right below that previous low right there. And, targeting new all-time highs and really probably going to be targeting this level at 125. Yep. So, you know, coming back down to the breakout to this level here at 107, 108, definitely a possibility. Definitely a possibility. So snapshot that in your mind. If Bitcoin does sneeze down, you know, a little bit further, I think it's still technically trading at, you know, new all-time highs. It's still looking very bullish on the higher term time frames. Well, this weekly candle did just close on Sunday. To be fair, that looks like a bit of a hammer there and could imply some downside in the short term. And you also have all this bearish divergence coming, you know, from way back here. And bearish divergence on the weekly time frame can be very, very powerful. How would you confirm that? You'd want to see a closure below last week's low, and that'd probably be good enough for me on a weekly time frame. Although I'm, you know, fairly biased for some more upside action. You'd also have a lot of stochastic divergence here as well. So might want to put on the bear goggles here in the short term. I know everybody's getting really pumped on this market. And, you know, again, if Bitcoin trades sideways, well, that'll give a chance for Ethereum and some of the altcoins to continue to move onwards and upwards. But you definitely want, you know, don't want to get caught with your pants down going long at the top here, if you ask me. Real tight stop losses and really this opportunity to, you know, maybe catch one last drive in the fair value gap, because I do believe this is the stage that we're in. It's the market psychology cheat sheet. If you go to our resource center here, we've got it. And we are kind of in the belief stage now, I believe. And the last leg of the bull market, which is usually the strongest, the Pareto principle, the most of the gains happen in the last 20% of the bull market. So I think the pullbacks are going to be shallow. If you asked me, I do think Bitcoin does get picked up if it does pull back from here. Yep. So that's Bitcoin on the short term, and, you know, kind of targeting that 125 area, I think is the next major upside target. Yeah, that is your 1618 off of this consolidation. Call it 128, 125, something like that. Something like that. Now let's see if I can get some more upside bias here and look at one of my other charts here. So we got declining volatility on the weekly time frame, and the stochastic will cross down this week below 115. So if Bitcoin closes below 115, which I guess we should mark it off as a level, 115, it's pretty much right there, 14.9. Closing below there, not going to be good for the bulls. Not going to be good for the bulls. And I do want to actually see what is the naked point of control. Yeah, so if we do come back down to 107, I'd expect a major bounce off of this level right here. Where would I be interested in taking those longs? Yeah, 107, lining it up again. So, you know, do we get a pullback first? It looks like momentum is flipping down, you know, by all means here. The 5-day has also crossed down, and volatility is, you know, just beginning to lift off. Did the 5-day close yet, or is it going to close here in the next... Yeah, it already closed, and we'll cross back up above 119. So a lot can happen here. You know, we need a good old turnaround Tuesday, as today, Monday was a bit of a down day, and it's getting a bit of a follow through here coming into Tuesday. You know, it's Tuesday in China already. And we already took out the Monday low for today. And yeah, that's the long signal right there. That is your hammer, and I would expect us to run at least back up to the Monday high, which, to be fair, is right there, to be fair. So that tells me I got to get my good old trading book open and ready to go. Anyways, Bitcoin on the lower term time frames, it looks like we're still in this massive consolidation range that is very similar to the range that we saw back here. Except for you'd probably put it on a 4-hour time frame here. And yeah, it looks like a very similar range to something like this. And that was the fair value gap hit, bang. And yeah, if we're going to pick ourselves up now, I'd say we don't want to take out this wick. If we take out this wick, you know, definitely going to come back down a little bit further. And kind of two scenarios that could play out. If you see this, And timing wise, I'd like to see it actually, yeah, come in from right where we're at right now. I'd like to see it get picked up, stop loss below there, and target the highs actually. That's what I'm looking at. Very similar to what we saw, right? So Bitcoin, came down, did not take out the wick low, and that was the continuation drive. So we had this leg, boom, consolidation for how many hours? 81 4-hour periods. And how many do we have here? 66. So give it another day or two, and as long as we don't take out that last wick or even this wick, I would expect some more upside for Bitcoin, and that would, give some of our beloved altcoins some more upside. I think that's going to be it out of me today, guys. I will be back tomorrow. We'll jump into some altcoins. I hope you have a blessed and highly favored rest of your week, and I will see you in the next one. Take care.